How to Survive High School featuring Armed Girls Machiavellism. First thing first, you need to make an entrance. And what the main character teaches us here is to walk tall and proud while holding the bag like a boss. Upon making his presence known, 5 chicks calling themselves Supreme 5 Swords take note of his arrival. Rin, the leader of the Swords, tells the girls this new student alone took on 40 guys knocking them out. Nomura, emphasize on the no, is a big problem, and Rin went to deal with it. Now fellas, when approached by an angry mob of crazy chicks with weapons, the best move is to ensure them you are not looking for trouble. However, this wasn't the case for Nomura, who remembers the words of cross-dressing fellow he met earlier. These words go like this: boys in the school are forced to coexist with girls by throwing away their masculinity. And thus, here we are. Rin wants to correct Nomura. But as you know, a pair of balls is hard to come by these days. So the man ignores, taunts, and slips right by Rin under another chick, telling her goodbye before jumping out of the window. Rin still follows the main man swinging her sword, leaving Nomura no other option but to pull out the spanking gloves and discipline that crazy chick. After playing her game for a bit, the man decides enough is enough and delivers a secret technique he created called Spirit Bullet, which you don't do in real life. Otherwise, you will be expelled and labeled as a creep, especially after seeing the fight ended with the man accidentally kissing the masked beauty. But that's irrelevant. The moral of the story here, keep the brass knuckles on you just in case. Just in case. This is a crazy chick that likes to run with sharp objects charging at you. That said, back to the story. Now you are labeled as a creep that slaps girls around and locks lips with them under a tree like a brute. Not like how the kindergarten song goes. So here's how to fix it from Nomura's perspective. Buy a cake for the class because there is nothing that cake doesn't solve. Next, Nomura asks for Rin's room to gift her the cake, as well as acquire a pass allowing him to leave the school campus whenever he wants. Thus, the G heads to her room ASAP to hand the cake, and check up on her after their fight. He also compliments her looks and adds, "You are pretty cute," melting her heart, which helps him score a pass stamp with no problems whatsoever. So the lesson here is to compliment the chicks. They like it. The worst case scenario is that they faint from joy, which happened when another girl entered the room prompting the main man to run. Outside, Choka is waiting with a whip in hand. Upon seeing this, the main man wants to leave as he doesn't want anything with this kinky shit. But the girls jumped him to take revenge for their fallen sister. However, Nomura barely cares about this crab and teaches them why kids shouldn't play with grown-ups' items. Soon, rumors of him being a perv started to spread faster than lice in a kindergarten. Even his boy was holding his shirt and spat on the floor in disgust. Making it safe to say this, Nomura's social image is at its lowest, so Rin became the lover boy's supervisor. So Rin stepped in to stop that type shit, which I turn involved into a catfight. While Nomura gets chased by Choka, who gets a first row seat to learn what morning wood is. One life lesson this scene teaches is to always wear belts, or have a really good lawyer when the FBI comes knocking. That said, in Nomura's case, the one that came was the Empress, Kiru. Nomura seems to know her before being transferred to the school, but she denies knowing him. So he does the only thing one can do when a woman denies knowing you. He goes to punch her. Luckily though, Nomu stops midway, not because he's a gentleman, but because the blondie screamed at him to fix his pants, thinking he was defiled her little sister. Mary pulls a sword on our boy, vowing to quote-unquote fix him, which some would say it means castrate him. And so another sword-to-hand combat begins. Nomura seems to have difficulty against it since he doesn't know jack shit about Western sword techniques. Thus, he decides to leave his fate in the hands of the anime god. Nomura rushes forward and gets stabbed, but it's revealed he's a man of culture with a thick-ass manga hidden under his shirt. And so, with the power of weakness in his hand, he beats her. Proven once again. When all seems doomed, a higher power will intervene to save the day. And with a higher power, we mean the latest Shonen Jump issue you can order online. The fight ends with the girl being fully clothed, which was inconvenient to the chick as she wanted to be manhandled by him. Yup, turns out the girl is a freak with some wild fantasies, so when the G refuses to touch her because he dislikes being ordered, she gets offended, yet the girl doesn't give up. Therefore, when Nomura asks her to stamp his pass, she moves the bishop between the castles and tries to seduce him, but the man manages to conquer the horny. Yet the remarkable feat gets misunderstood when the masked beauty arrives and sees him standing over the booba. Thankfully, the thought still has some honor and explains that nothing happened. She was testing him before stamping his pass. And here we are. Nomura now supervised not only by Rin but also by Mary. However, this angers the eldest member of the Supreme Five Swords, Warabi Hanasaka, who goes for his friend and fucking crucifies him just to send a message. Nomura, Rin, and Mary are forced to participate in Bloodsport Day, something the Lali invented. The game they play is sumo, and the opponent is a frickin' bear. We talking about some Khabib Nurmagomedov type of stuff. Even the main man himself said he wishes to be home, while he's standing tall face to face with the bear. But then Nomura repeats one of the codes he lives by. When someone threatens me with any kind of violence, I can't let that slide. Shivers. Absolute shivers, I say. And luckily our mentor had the brute strength to back up his statement, as we see him pick up that giant furry ass and walk it to the edge of the ring. Now if this happened in real life and you facing a bear, mano a mano, remember this. If it's a brown, lay down. If it's a black, fight back. If it's a white, good night. And if it's a panda, you probably hallucinating these kung fu masters only exist in cartoons. Back on track. The girls ask, why are you going above and beyond? The Giga Chad responds, I can't forgive those who harm innocent people and have no problem humiliating others to get what they want. After putting the bear down, Namil walks back and reveals that the thong thingy is not right and it falls off, disqualifying the bear, who honestly looks pretty cute when embarrassed. Fast forward to the final battle, the fight seemed to favor the brat side. Nomura, though, stands his ground and keeps blasting the bear with Spirit Bullet, one after the other, yet the bear still feels nothing, or so it seemed with the man fakes another. The bear gets scared, creating an opening to punch it in the nose. Life hack: if you get attacked by a shark, aim for the gills behind the mouth, the more you know. That said, after defeating the girl, Namyu scores himself another stamp on that pass. Next day at school, the main man seems to have entered his popularity phase due to his recent success in the Lali games. The girls follow him with hungry eyes, even though he spends his days as usual. The slightest action from him gets followed by a wave of cheers. Nomura himself doesn't think much of it, but Rin and Mary don't think it's funny. Yet the straw that broke the camel's back was a photo of the main man with a woman from the Divine Swords on top of him in their baby suits. So he does what any reasonable man would do in such situation: run as fast as possible away from a false Me Too accusation. When Nomura tells Warabi about the situation, she laughs in his face, knowing it's all the works of her fellow Divine Sword Lady, and the only way to stop these shenanigans is to face her head on. So they devise a plan to get to the girl's dorm where the green-haired chick is. Inside the bathroom, they find a girl with a hockey mask, who, if I dare to say, doesn't seem right in the head. The girl spits a needle that gets intersected by the blonde Lali. Then the divine chick makes her entrance, which we are not sure if we can show or not, so here's a cute puppy pic instead. The brat stayed to fight the masked girl, even though she was not 100% alert due to the drugs in her system. She decides to go through the fight pulling a Naruto move, stabbing her leg to get the adrenaline pumping, helping her swoop the girl and flip her like a burger. The lesson here is, while everyone watches cringe TikToks and socializes, you stay inside and study the blade. It will come in handy someday, tarnished. Back to the story, frankly, we don't know if we can show the full fight sequence due to the fighters not wearing armor. So here's a quick rundown of what happened while the editors pull up some mildly satisfying clips. The fight seems to be going to the crazy chick's side. After all, it is hard to fight a hot woman naked. So the main man levels the fighting field by taking off his clothes, and now both parties can duke it out as God planned. Later, Nomura managed to control the girl's psyche, enabling him to outclass. To put it simply, sometimes the only way to fight crazy is with crazy, combined with a bit of manipulating and gaslighting. After being defeated, instead of admitting it, the crazy chick threatens to throw the pig's data in the pool, which is the only thing that can clear the man's name. However, Nomura doesn't give a damn, as the man, the myth, the legend, or better yet, The big G takes off his glove and smacks the crazy B to the H back to the bath along with the bag. She asked, "Why did you do that?" "It's crazy you made Rin cry," he replies, making the chick laugh before kinda admitting defeat. Meanwhile, Rin and Mary know nothing about what's happening and are concerned about Nomura, who they think is still in the 50 Shades dungeon, so they go to visit him, running into each other on the way and canceling their plan. Back at the infirmary, the main man awakes and gets caught up to what happened till this point. Satori tells him that she told the ladies what happened. Soon after, Rin arrives and apologizes for her behavior. She also tells him to do whatever he wants to make things right. So he reaches for the mask and tells her to remove it as she looks beautiful without it. The wholesome moment gets cut when Nomura reveals himself as an orphan, who was raised by an old man that trained him very hard to the point it can be considered abuse, but he is still thankful as it made him the man he is. As Alan Watts once said, "What happens is what's supposed to happen and should happen. It's all because of you and your choices. You were the reason your crush said I like you like a brother, nothing else." Now we might paraphrase a bit, but that's the essence of it. And Nomura's life decisions led him face to face with the last divine sword, Sshoujo. He walks up to her and asks for the stamp but gets stopped in his tracks by her swift blade. Again, Sshoujo is one of the Heavenly Five swords that possesses far more extraordinary skills than the others. Facing her godlike speed, even Nomura can't help but be surprised, as he realizes that she outmatches him. However, soon after seeing his harem member getting slapped around, the man of the hour, too good to be sour, arrives from nowhere and pushes the lolly aside as he goes to handle the psycho chick. Nomura screams like a god of war, while Amu roars like a Super Saiyan in response. Amu remembers when she first met the lover boy. At the time, she was posing like a bad boy that ruled their old school. Nomura first complimented Amu not knowing she was a she, as well as asked her to stop the attacks on the little kids. Seeing his charm and charisma, she agrees and becomes friends. However, their friendship is short-lived when Nomura declines her offer of having a tour of their school, going instead with a boy he saved earlier. Feeling jealous and angry, Amu attacked the boy, marking the end of their friendship and the start of their fight. Nomura goes for a head-on telegraphed punch, and Empress counters with a stab to the stomach. This time the man is ready as he hid the manga volumes under his shirt in anticipation of the counter, proving once again having physical manga volumes is way better than digital ones. Anyways, with the help of the Tsukuyo's instructions, Nomura stands back with a smile on his face ready to fight, while the Empress has a sad look on her as she doesn't want to fight him but be with him. Yet her pride prevents her from doing so, hence the only thing is to fight under the November rain. The two fight and exchange blows with smiles on their face. Amu wants to kill him, so no one gets to have him except her. And with every punch she takes and receives, she feels alive and happier. I suspect low-key the woman is a masochist. As our boy falls to the ground, the chick reaches and holds him like a Hispanic macho man. She tells him that she loves him and puts his hand on her chest, asking him if he can hear her heartbeat under the booba, before asking him to deliver his spirit bullet straight to it, which he does, making Sensei Kakashi proud. After the fight ends, Tsukuyo holds Nomura at sword point. But fear not, she's just playing. Her true intent is to make him her pupil, and help him perfect his techniques while watching over him like the rest of the girls. In return, he gets the last stamp, an offer he can't pass. Yet he does, as the man doesn't like being threatened. The headmaster arrives and tells everyone to go back to their room except for Nomura and Amu because they are expelled. The next day when Nomura wakes up, he says goodbye to his male friend and the girls in the hospital, before heading outside to look for Rin and Mary, who are at the headmaster's office trying to convince her to reverse the decision. Outside, he sees Tsukuyo. She tells him that Amu is on her way to the airport, so he goes to chase after her. Now at the airport, Nomura says goodbye to Amu the right way, aka with a kiss. Then he heads out to see Rin and Mary waiting for him. They tell Nomura that he is not expelled as long as the girls keep an eye on him. Hence he has successfully managed to survive high school, teaching us some important lessons. Be nice to everyone, stand up for yourself, don't simp, don't let your shalong take control of the wheel, and most importantly, be ready to punch a bear if it's charging at you unless it's brown or white.